Hello friends, and welcome into my craft room. I am Heidi with Heidi Sonboul DIY, and in today's episode we are going to be making 4 fabulous fall DIY crafts using Dollar Tree supplies and a couple of things I have here sitting around my craft room. Please do remember to give this video a thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you haven't yet. I have so many more fall videos coming out this season. Alright, now let's get crafting. Head to the Dollar Tree and pick up 4 of these beaded wreath rings. These are so fabulous to work with. Start by taking the wreath and open up that clamped wire ending. On the first 2, we're going to remove 2 beads, and on the other 2, we're going to remove 3 beads. The reason why we're doing this is because if you try to bring these together in the shape or the form as a pumpkin, the beads are going to collide into each other and it's not going to sit very well. Once you've got those beads off, 2 on 2 of them and 3 on the other 2, go ahead and clamp them back closed again, because we're going to bring them together into the form or the shape of a beaded pumpkin. Now these pumpkins at beautiful home decor stores, they are so expensive, it's ridiculous. I picked up each one of these wreath ring beaded forms from the Dollar Tree for $1.25 each, and with 4 of them we are going to get the exact same look and save so much money. Now we're going to take those 4 wreath rings and we are going to open up the beads at the top and the bottom so it's got that spacing in there so the wires can come together but not the beads colliding. Once you've got that all nice and situated in there and the beads aren't competing for the space, take 2 zip ties and zip tie them tightly into the placing that you want. Set it aside. At this point, I grabbed a log twig from outside on a tree we're about to cut down because it's just old and it's having some problems. I drilled 2 holes, one at the bottom and one through, so that I can zip tie it onto the form, and I also can hot glue it in there so that everything holds together. And now I'm going to take one of these wood rounds from the Dollar Tree. I'm taking off the twine around the side. I took off the tag, and now I'm going to add some hot glue. Take that wood round, we're going to take it and flip it upside down with that hot glue on, and we're going to press down until it dries. You can put something in there to make the weight of it press down even harder, and then you're going to flip it over, taking more hot glue and going in between all those crevices. And I'm going to use some of these larger jumbo clips from the Dollar Tree craft section to hold it in place while it dries and set it to the side. I'm going to now go back to that log that we cut from earlier with the holes we drilled. And you don't have to drill the holes, but I really like when my projects have a high-end finished look. It looks like it came from a store, that nothing is going to break off of it if somebody picks it up. So the zip tie is going to really lock it into place, because if you just hot glue it, in my opinion, I think it's going to come off, but if you're gentle with it and you don't have any little hands picking it up, it would be fine if you did hot glue. To complete the look, add some moss to disguise that zip tie and a candle for display. Grab one of these tag signs. Dollar Tree has so many of these tag signs, so just grab whatever season they have them in store. And we're going to grab one of these wood wreaths. It's kind of almost in the shape of an oval. They have these in their floral section, and 2 of these tumbling blocks. Start by taking off that tag and cutting some fabric to fit the size of the tag wood sign. I do not like having an unfinished backside, so I'm just cutting this fabric with a real quick snip around, and I'm just going to glue that on so it cleans up the backside and it looks so much more finished like this. Then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to give it a nice coat of a beautiful pumpkin orange. I did 2 coats because orange is an opaque color It usually takes about 2 coats for that to be nice and vibrant the way I wanted it to look once it was all dry. This part might scare a lot of people, but it's going to be so beautiful in the end. So if the dry brushing is not your thing, you don't have to do it. But I'm just going to take some of this off-white paint, make sure I only have a little bit, and I'm going to dry brush around the sides. Now I know this looks a little scary, but look at the results when it's done. It's added so much texture, and it reminds me of the Cinderella pumpkins that you can get at the fall time. Now I'm going to take some hot glue. I'm going to take that wreath that we have from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to glue it down with a whole bunch of glue. And I'm also going to add in those little 2 tumbling blocks. This is going to represent the stem at the top of a pumpkin. At this point, you can decorate it however you would like. I'm going to come in with some of these creamy, peachy, almost tan-like leaves that they have at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to play around with those leaves in just a little bit further in this video, but now I'm going to glue down my Grateful wood cutout, glue that on, and then add on a few more of these leaves and a couple of these berries that were from all the same pick. Now at this point we can leave it like this, but I don't like that the top has that little drilled out hole, so I'm going to make a twine thick bow. And I've had a lot of you ask me to slow down to show how I make this. I start with a long end to my twine, and then with my forefinger spread it out, I wrap it around my hand probably about 10, maybe 12, 13 times until it's nice and thick. I have another long end at the other end. I take one of those ends, wrap it around the middle a whole bunch of times, and then I tie a couple of knots. This is going to give you this really beautiful loopy twine bow. I leave those tails long at the bottom because I just like how it looks. You could add some more of that twine down at the bottom for longer tails, but I usually like just the 2 twine pieces coming down, and then I just fluff up the bow really big. And at this point, it's just so pretty and so perfect for fall, not too understated, but not too overdressed. And now I'm going to just add some hot glue and pop that right into place to conceal that hole at the top, and you've got yourself a beautiful farmhouse fall sign. For this DIY, I'm going to be taking 2 of these baskets that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. They have these pretty much year round. I'm going to take also some of these clips. I'm going to just show this whole thing as I'm going through. I'm slowing down the steps so that you can see everything. I'm going to cut down the middle of the basket, and then I'm going to come down to the bottom and cut around the bottom of the square of the basket, freeing up the whole thing. So I'm going to just show myself doing this, and while I'm doing this, I thought I would give an update on my mom. So many of you have been asking how she's been doing. If you haven't heard, my mom ended up having cancer at the beginning of this year. She went in for a regular doctor's appointment and they found cancer. She had to have an emergency surgery, and then they started her on chemo. The chemo dosage was too strong for her, and sadly it almost took my mom's life, but through a lot of help through doctors and my family trying to come together to help her get healthy, my mom has made a full recovery. So she's back home and she's doing great. At this point, you can see I cut out the bottom part of the basket. Now I'm going to go and divide the 2 baskets. So my mom at this point is doing so much better, and she just recently went to her newest oncologist. She switched doctors and they did some blood work, and her scans came back being 100% cancer-free. So at this point, she's cancer-free, which is such a blessing, but they want to have some more scans done in about 6 months. So thank you all so much for the prayers and the love that you sent my mom's way. It meant so much to me and my family. We're so grateful. We know that your prayers did help my mom and just helped her keep going. She got to read some of the comments, and she just kept saying how sweet all of you are for being so kind and understanding and sending those prayers to heaven. All right, going back to the basket, you can see after I've cut the 2 pieces apart, I'm now going to add on some glue at the side of those cuttings where we split the basket in half, and then I'm going to clamp the two sides together, and then I'm going to use the clips to hold them all together so it doesn't come undone. Once that's dry, I'm going to come around to the bottom of the basket, add some glue, and clamp that down. Now, I got this idea because I was at a home decor cute boutique store. I saw that they had these baskets there, and I thought, wait a second, that looks like something that I bought from the Dollar Tree. So I wanted to try to take a chance and see if I could make it work in my own craft room for a fraction of the cost. The smallest basket, they wanted $15, and the bigger basket, they wanted like $23, I think. No way, I thought. I could totally make that by just manipulating the basket and taking my time and going slow. This is real speed time. You're seeing exactly how long it's taking me to cut it apart. Now for the longer basket, you can see that I brought on a second piece, the other half of that basket. I'm going to glue around that rim for the top of where the basket used to be before we cut it apart, so we can weld those pieces together. And the trick is you want to try to just squish it and tighten it almost like a belt around the sides so it looks like it's all one piece. I'm coming in with tons of glue, but not too much that it's going to leak out everywhere and make a big mess and you're going to see glue everywhere. I'm going to just keep squishing it all together and then holding it all in place. Now you can see you can't really put a clip there, so I was just kind of hanging out holding this until it dried, but that was okay. I had music playing in my craft room, and once it was dry and it all looked nice and complete and good, I then went ahead and moved onto the bottom of the basket and did the same thing like I did for the other little basket, where I added glue to the bottom and then I used my clips to clamp it all into place to make sure that everything is nice and glued and locked in. Now these baskets are just so pretty, and I think that you could put so many cute things in it. I think they would be beautiful hanging up on hooks in a kitchen on the wall. You can hang it up on a very small skinny wall and a small powder room bathroom. There's so many pretty things you can do with these baskets. Now I'm going to show in a second how I did these handles on the longer basket, but first I'm sharing that I wanted to just add a little tag to the front. The one that I saw inspiration at the store actually had a tag on it, and I thought it would be pretty to add one of these garden tags from the Dollar Tree. Now the bottom square from the basket, when you pull it apart, it gives you the perfect size to create little handles for the basket. So I'm just going to take one of these wood strips and I'm going to just tuck it in and around, creating that little loop. And I'm going to add some hot glue in there so that it can hold that handle in place. And then at this point, you can put in whatever you would like. Now, I'm not going to put any foam in because I want to be able to change out this basket all year long. I have a really pretty hook in my kitchen, and I thought this would be so pretty seasonally to switch out the florals in it. For this DIY, we're going to start with this beautiful stencil that I picked up from Studio R12. I love their stencils, and a piece of scrap wood that I found when I was cleaning my garage, and I thought, oh, that would be so pretty as a fall sign. I find little things like that around my house all the time. So we're going to start with painting the sign. I went around the edges with some, not super saturated paint, just kind of roughly going over it because I want to see that wood come through. Paint is such a fun mixed medium to work with. Sometimes you can have it heavily saturated where the color's really strong, and then there's other times where you do one, maybe two coats where that wood can come through and you can see that grain in there, which just looks so pretty for farmhouse decor. So I'm going to make sure it's nice and dry, flip it over and finish the back side by just putting a little bit of paint on it so it looks nice and cohesive. I'm going to take some washi tape. And you see here that I rub my hand across to make sure it's nice and smooth, and add on the other piece of washi tape to lock it down into place so that now I can add on my paint. Now I'm going to be doing something called steepling. I'm using a special brush. I will link the stencil and my brush down below in the description box. But remember, if you don't want to purchase things from online, they do have stencils at the Dollar Tree, and they're so fun to work with, especially if you don't have a cutting tool and you want to give stencils a try, or some type of a font like this a try. So after removing the stencil off and slowly adding on little layers of paint, I did 2 layers of paint. I did the first, I let it dry, I did the second, and then I removed it, and now I'm coming in with my heat gun to really make sure the paint is locked in and dried before I come in and I start distressing it with some sandpaper and my ink pad. Friends, this project was so easy. It was so easy. If you're a new crafter, start with stencils. They're so fun to work with. And remember, just do very thin brushed on, dry brushed layers of your stencil paint, because that will keep it from bleeding and smudging and having any problems. So now you can see I'm just coming in. I sanded around the edges some. I've got this ink pad that I picked up from Amazon, but you can get it at any craft store. But this is the one that I like. I'm just simply gently rubbing the edges and rubbing the sides of my sign. I don't want to push my finger down into the center of that pad, because then it will make too much ink to come down. I'm just lightly patting, lightly brushing on layers of this brown paint, and it is giving the most beautiful tint and distressing to the sign. And you can see when I push down harder over there in that corner where my pinky is, the color is more saturated, and I want it like that on my edges. So play with it, have fun with it. These signs are so fun to make. I truly hope you felt inspired by today's episode. I know I had a great time making these in my craft room. It brings me such joy. It calms my anxiety and my worries. I love putting on music and just sitting down and making things. And today, these color combos for the fall just make me smile. I love a pumpkin orange with a beautiful rustic, almost sage apple green. I just love these colors together, and then a beautiful basket with the beads. Anyway, I had a fun time. I hope you did too. Please do give this video a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to check out this video here at the end. If you liked this one, you might also like this other video. I hope you'll give it a try and click on it. Thanks so much for being my friend and stopping in and visiting with me today. And until the next episode, bye friends.